Hello everyone, welcome back to the next video in SQL Server. Today we are going to learn about what is variables and what is dynamic queries in SQL Server. So basically we use variables just like in any other programming languages to hold a particular value. The variables can be an integer type, a varchar or a date time type. You can store any of the values for your variables and you can use those variables in your SQL commands and execute dynamically. So there is a dynamic query option in SQL Server which can be used to execute your queries dynamically in the runtime. So let us see some live examples in our SQL Server. So how to declare a variable and how we can use those variables with certain data types to achieve certain logics in our dynamic queries. So let us get into SSMS to see some live examples. So here I have connected inside my SSMS. Let's open this training database under the tables folder. I have a employee table. So let me take this. So let us select this table. Use this select command. So now here you can see I have a employee ID, employee name, department ID and their salaries. So here I can use variables to hold any of the values. Like if I need to hold a department ID and I need to use that variable to fetch my rows, then I can declare a integer type variables. So if I need to fetch this employee name, so then I can create a variable with a varchar, which is a character data type, and declare the name to the variable and fetch dynamically in my query. So to declare a variable, first we need to use the declare command, declare, and you need to give the name for the variable. So basically a variable which start with the prefix of @simple and need to mention the name for the variable. So I'm going to give the employee ID as my variable name. So employee ID, this is an integer type, so I have creating a integer type variable. So I have declared a variable first, and then now I need to set the value for the variable. So you can use the set command to set the value for this variable using the set, and you need to provide the name of the variable and you can provide the value for the variable. So I'm going to provide 3. So I'm going to select employee with the ID 3. So here I can just select the records from the employees table. Here I am going to apply the filter through where condition, where the employee ID is equal to this employee ID variable. So if you have declared a variable, then you need to run both the declare and the select command. So you need to run each of the queries that you have used declare command. So if you need to execute this variable, you need to select all these and you can just run execute this. Now you can see the select query got fetched the particular employee who is with the ID 3. So you can just say hey, I can just provide the employee ID 3 here itself. So what if you need to make this as a dynamic one? So if you are creating a store procedure or a function, so you need to fetch the data from the output window, which can be a web application or a web page. Then you need to configure your store procedure with a dynamic variable, and you need to fetch the ID from the website and you need to pass to the SQL Server and fetch the rows. So now let me create a procedure. You need to use the create procedure command and you need to provide the name for the procedure. Let me give us a get employee details, and here you can pass the parameters, which is the variable that you are going to declare. So I am going to declare an integer variable for this, and here you need to provide the as command and begin and end. Inside this I am going to provide the select statement, which is select start from the employee table where the employee ID is equal to whatever the ID I am going to pass to this variable. So now let me create this procedure. So now the procedure got created. So to execute this procedure, you can just provide the execute and the procedure name, or you can just provide the procedure name alone and you can pass the ID along with this. So here I am going to pass the ID 3. So let us execute this. So now the procedure got executed and fetched only the employee with the ID 3. So let me provide the ID 7. So now it is fetching the employee details with the id 7. So in such way we can use our variables, and you can pass the value for the variables from outside the procedure, and you can get the details of the table dynamically. So here we can also provide the character variable, which is a employee name. Let me provide this as varchar, and let me provide as create or alter. So I am going to alter this existing procedure, and here I am going to provide and condition, and the employee name must be equal to the employee name variable. So now let me again execute this command to create this procedure. So now the procedure got altered. Here I am going to pass the next parameter, which is the name. So let me select the value. So here I am going to copy this name from here and paste it here. So in this execute statement I am going to pass two values, which is the employee id and the employee name. So now when I execute this, you can see that the employee with the id 3 and the name with Michael Johnson has been filtered out. So you can create any variables with any data types, and you can use that to pass to your queries and fetch the results as well. So you can use variables to hold a value, and you can pass those values to your queries and fetch the details. Then what is a dynamic queries in SQL Server? So let us see with the example. Here I have a sample table which contains a column 1, column 2, column 3 and column 4. So now let me create this first, and you can see in this columns I have special characters. So I have a backslash, circular brackets, asterisk, hyphen. So in SQL Server, whatever with the space or anything enclosed in a square bracket, then the SQL Server accept those values and treat this as a single word. But in certain formats like in Parquet files, if you try to store these values, the Parquet files does not allows any special characters in their headers. So in such scenarios, or if you using a joint union condition to a same table which is a modified one which contains only the column name without a special character, then in such cases you need to realign this column names. You don't need to modify any column names. You can keep the table as it is, and you can create a dynamic query, and you can map those columns and remove those extra special characters. So this is an wonderful scenario. We are going to implement this with the help of dynamic queries in SQL Server. For this, let me just create a variable. So I'm going to create a variable for the table name. So let me provide as table name. So this variable is a character variable which is going to hold the name of my table. So here I'm going to provide the set command. Set the table name is equal to the sample table which we have created now, and then I need to provide a variable again which is going to hold all the string values. That is a dynamic expression generated by the loop. So let me declare a variable like yes. So this is going to be a varchar. Let me provide max for this. So this is going to iterate all the columns from the sample table and going to store this with the alias name. So after this I am going to set the value for the variable. Here you can write the set command. Set the variable yes equal to, I am going to set this as an empty string. So at first this is an empty string. Here I am going to implement my logic. So I need to first select the columns one by one from the table name, and I need to give a alias name for those columns, and while selecting the table, I need to select the table with those alias names. So for this I am going to use a dynamic query. So let us select this variable, and I am going to assign the same variable again to itself, and I need to perform certain logics. That is, I am going to enclose the columns in the square bracket. So before these things, first let me select the columns from the tables. To find the columns from the tables, you can use the all columns, which is an system table that contains all the information about the columns that you have created in the database for your tables. So here, when I select this, select start from sys.columns, you can see it shows all the column names for all the tables that I have created. So I don't need all the columns, I just need only the columns which I have created for this sample table. So again, you can use the system table, which is a sys.table, which contains all the information about your tables that you have created under the database. So I'm going to join both these values. So let me provide a join condition. Let us take this as a alias name C, and I'm going to join this with sys.tables, which is which is going to fetch the name of the table. So I'm going to provide the on condition. In the on condition, you can provide the objective name. So here you can find the objective ID. So this objective ID is common for both this sys.tables and sys.columns. With this objective ID, we can map both the tables and create a relationship. So let me provide the objective ID here. So now you can see when I select this, the sys tables and sys columns has been mapped together, and here is a resulting query set. From this, I need only the table which is with the name that holds the table name variable. So here again I am going to provide a where condition, where the table name is going to be the variable name. So when I execute this entirely, you can see I got all the columns, right? So here I have 4 columns. So I have passed the table name and fetched all the columns from the tables. So from this, I need only this name column. So I'm going to give c.names alone in this select query. So now again let me run this. You can see I got all the columns one by one. So we have completed the first step. We have filtered all the columns from our table dynamically. So now I'm going to execute the replace statements for the columns. So I need to replace all the special characters as an empty string. So for this, let me execute. Let me provide this variable, and again I'm going to provide this variable. Let me provide an open bracket in a string format. So this is going to concat all the values that I'm going to provide. So this plus is used as a concat operation. So I am going to provide all as a string format. So I need to enclose all the column names with after this I am going to provide the close bracket and the as command, which is going to be the alias name, and an open bracket, and after this I am going to provide the replace command. So this replace command is used in SQL Server to replace certain values in your columns. So replace of the column name. So if this column contains a backslash, then I need to replace this with an empty string. So we are going to provide this replace command for all the special characters that are present in our table. So here again I am going to provide, if it contains a open bracket, I need to replace with the empty string, again for a close bracket, and then for asterisk. So finally a hyphen. So I need to replace this with a empty string, and once all the replace command has been completed here, I am going to end this with a close bracket and along with the comma. So this is going to separate all the values for me. So here I have provided the dynamic query, and after this has been selected, I need to remove the final comma so that it will be works fine. For this I am going to provide a if condition. If len, this len command is used to find the length of the string that you have passed. So I am going to pass the variable which holds the string value if it is greater than 0, then I need to set the value for this variable, which is I am going to use the left function and pass the variable here and provide the length of the variable -1. So this is going to fetch the last comma, and then finally I am going to set this into a result variable. So here again I am going to provide a result variable, which is an at result, which is a varchar. We provide us 255, and then here we can use that variable to select the values inside this. So let me provide the set command and provide the value for this result variable. Inside this I am going to pass the value select plus the at, yes, and then the n marker of from, and then again we are using a inbuilt function which is quad name. This is going to quad the table name which I am going to pass in this variable. So let me pass the quad name of my table variable, and once all done I am going to execute this at result. So let me provide the execute command. There is also an inbuilt function which is a execute sp execute SQL, and again you need to pass this variable here. So now I am going to execute all this together. So we provide the variable as a varchar. So you can just take this as Unicode string. So when I execute this statement, you can see now the table has been selected with the modified column names. So all the special characters has been removed, and in the result set I have achieved the column names without any special characters. Let us insert some values inside this table and show you. Insert into the table name, which is sample table, and let me provide the values, and for 4 columns so let me provide a few values for this. Let me execute this. So if you just select this table, start from this sample table, you can see the column names contains the special characters. So when I execute this dynamic query, you can see now the table has been selected with the column name, and now here the column name does not contain any special characters. So you can use this dynamic queries to execute certain logics like this in your SQL Server. I hope you have understood what is a variable and how we can declare a variable and use in our expressions, and what is a dynamic query and how you can use dynamic queries to achieve certain logics. So let me provide the GitHub link in the description. Please find the solution and solve the exercise that I have provided. Please subscribe to the channel and watch all the videos in the SQL Server playlist. Thank you for watching.